So we're starting off. We're going to mainly focus on dungeons this time around, but as you'll see, the very first scene that happened there was us getting the Master Sword, and what that actually it's the White Sword. It's not actually the Master Sword, but everybody calls the Master Sword because it says Master using this. It's actually the Master Sword is the third part of the sword, but we're not quite to that yet. You have to have, I want to say, 10 heart containers to get that. So we're not quite there yet. The other thing we're going to do is we are headed to go buy the blue ring that I talked about in last week's session. Oh, and by the way, welcome back. We are picking up with Zelda, and like I said, we're going to primarily focus on dungeons this time around. But as you can see, these things are all dying in one hit now, whereas before it was taking 2 hits. Basically, the White Sword doubles the power of the sword. So now, instead of anything that took 2 hits takes 1 hit, and if it takes 3 hits before, it takes 2 hits now. So we're trying to get to 255 coins here, which we are almost there, thanks to a couple of secrets I picked up while we were off. And from there, we'll be able to pick up that blue ring, which will also make it to where basically anything that did a whole heart of damage before will do a half a heart. If it did a half a heart, we actually don't take any damage the first hit. So this is kind of basically making us a little bit tougher, harder to kill, be able to do more damage. Anything like that is always a bonus. But we're primarily going to focus on dungeons. I'm just trying to do the last little bit of prep work, and I wanted to include that in today's video. So as you can see, we've got to our 250, so we're going to head right up here. The store to buy the blue ring in is actually a hidden store, and it is unlike some of the other stuff where it's like there's a better place to buy it and a worse place to buy it. When it comes to the blue ring, there is only one place to buy it. So you have to come up to here to buy it. And it is hidden behind this little guy right here. You go down in here, and there you go, the blue ring. It is the most expensive item in the game. As you can also see, that thing to the right of it, that is called bait, and we will need that a couple of times. Oh no, I'm not green anymore. That's the only thing I dislike about the blue and red ring is I lose my green outfit, and it is the iconic Zelda or Link green outfit, and it takes it away, and I'm not a fan of that. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and head over to the first dungeon. There are a couple of more. I think you can get up to a total of 8 hearts if you want to before you start a dungeon. Really, once you can get the blue ring and the white sword, I don't think it's necessary to keep running around hunting hearts. Eventually, I like to collect them all, but you get hearts for doing the dungeons as well, and I think it's a faster way to continue forward. So we're just going to head on in. Here's our first dungeon right here. And you can definitely head into this dungeon much sooner. You don't need to have these hearts. I really like the layout of the dungeons in this original Zelda. So basically, you have a room, you walk into it, it's got monsters, and then once you kill all the monsters, sometimes things will happen, like this key will pop up. And it's all in a grid type system, and I think my brain just sticks to that because it's easy to set up rules and thoughts. I don't know, it just all makes sense to me. And like this guy here is carrying a key, so you can just grab it from him. Now there are a couple of things in each dungeon. There is a compass, which will show you a flashing red dot where the main boss or whatever is for the dungeon. And there is also a map, which will lay out the structure of the map. Now if you go into the start menu here, you can see the rooms you've already been in, but with the map you can actually see the whole structure of the dungeon. So I did use one of my keys. There was a key door back there like that right there, These bats are annoying because they fly in a very awkward pattern, and they don't follow any real rules, and they don't give you any loot. But you have to kill them if you want this door, like this door right here, to open back up. So when you do that, and these guys are the same way. They don't give you anything. Now there are other little things in the dungeons that can be little like story tips. Like here is a story. He says Eastmost Peninsula is the secret, and you're like, okay, great, thanks, Grandpa. That's all that's there. There's nothing there, no treasure, no nothing. You literally do not have to go in there unless you want to know that the Eastmost Peninsula is the secret. And there is our first item, and that is the map. So now you can see up above we have the map structure, which is very, very helpful in some situations. We're going to pop up here. We have to get our coins back because we just spent them all, so we don't have hardly any rupees. Now, another thing that's in most dungeons is some sort, well, all of them have something, some sort of treasure. The thing these guys were shooting was a boomerang, and you do get that treasure here in the first dungeon, but not there. You gotta be a little quick there. And you can push some of these blocks, and so here we've got our first item. This dungeon is one of the few dungeons that actually has two treasures. We got the bow, which does us no good yet because we haven't bought an arrow. I think I mentioned that arrow last video because there is a store that's the cheapest place to buy the initial arrow. Once you buy a arrow, then they just use rupees. You don't have to continuously buy arrows, so it's not like you have to buy ammo. But you do kind of, because every time you shoot an arrow, it uses a rupee, and rupees are like your coins. So you are ultimately spending a coin every time you shoot it. I did miss a room, and I can't remember if there's anything in it, so we're going to go back. And you can see that by comparing, if you compare this map on the top in the yellow down to the map that we got for getting the map, you'll see there is one room there that is not filled in when you first come in. So it's like 3 up and 1 right. So we're going to run over there. I think that might just be the compass, which wouldn't be a big deal if we missed, but just for completion's sake, we're going to go ahead and go find it. Have I mentioned I don't like bats? Actually, my real fear is snakes, for anybody that knows me, and you know that I am deathly afraid of snakes. And you do end up having to fight these pretty aggressive cobras later on in the game, and they come flying at you, and it's kind of triggering. But they're animated, and yep, there's my compass. So this is what the compass looks like. So now if you look up in the map, you see that there is that flashing red dot at the end of the Eastmost Peninsula. Although I don't think that's what that secret means. I think that actually refers to something later on, but I can't remember for sure. So that could be all it's talking about. But now we just have to go back over here. So this is where we turned around. And you'll see right above my bombs there in the middle of the screen, you'll see where I have how many keys I have left. So now I don't have any keys left. And there's my boomerang. So now we have the first thing that we can use with our B button as much as we want. It doesn't cost anything. It's repeatable every single time. It's completely free to go. These things will drag you to the start of the dungeon if they get a hold of you, and they're really annoying. And I could have shown you, but I don't like them. So now we're going to fight our first boss of the game. And because we already got the white sword, he's much easier to beat. He only takes 3 hits instead of 6. So, you know, definitely a big thing. Now here is the iconic Triforce. It's awfully small right now, but you'll see when I grab it. So I hold up my Triforce. That is like one of the big symbols of Zelda. And I'll show you now when we hit start, we're actually building a larger Triforce. That was just a piece of the Triforce, but they make it look like the whole Triforce is, you know, just symbolically. So, and also whenever you pick up a piece of the Triforce, it does fill in your life bar or your hearts. I guess you don't have a life bar, do you? But anyway, so that is our first dungeon. Let's see. I'm trying to remember where 2 is. It's been a long time. I know. Yeah, I think it's over here. Oh, I did pick up one other thing, a treasure, in the middle, because I went the wrong way to go get the white sword. And that is the power bracelet, which is what allows you to push this block right here. And there are like little shortcuts you can take to bounce around to different areas of the map. So you can always do that as well. And it has other purposes too, but that's the primary thing it gives you. I don't think we have enough coins to buy the arrow. I think we need, yeah, we need 80. So we'll try to kill a few more things here. And we'll go up here actually and get one other treasure from the main map. As you'll see now, we have 6 hearts. So every time you finish a dungeon, you get a heart container from the main boss. So that's one primary way to build up your heart containers as well. The next treasure we're going to grab is actually a letter from an old lady, or the old man, to give to the old lady. And what the letter gives us actually, and that little snail block over there is also another hidden travel point. Should try to turn around fast enough. But in this cave, he's going to give us this letter and tell us to give it to the old lady, or old woman. And that'll allow us to buy potions, which will allow us to fill our hearts up to 2 times, depending on which potion you buy. And these, oh man, I can't think of what they're called. The spiders looking things are a primary way, a great way to get coins. They drop coins a lot more than other stuff. We're going to run up here. This is another secret. This is going to give us a bunch of coins as well. I want to say there's a total of 300 coin secrets, and that's our 3rd one. So unless I'm missing one in my head, I think we've gotten them all. But really, I mean, you don't need many more coins, many more rupees than that to have all the rupees you need in the game. So the dungeon's actually right down there, but we're going to go grab the arrow real quick. You can also pick up things like that heart container, or that heart with your bow, or with your boomerang. So I'm wanted him to give me a heart. He didn't cooperate. Really? I mean, there's a heart container back here anyway, but or a fairy, right next to where we're going, but it's just frustrating. All right, so here's our arrow. Oh, we need the bait as well, but we actually have enough for that. But I'm not gonna go buy that right now because we don't need that until I think level 3 is the first time we need bait. I think level 3 and level 6, maybe. You need 2 baits. And then there's also some secrets inside the dungeons that you really need to be prepared for with enough coins or enough rupees. I did forget about those. If you don't have enough rupees on you, you have to give up a heart container. So it says like your money or your life, and that's your only option. There's no other way out. You can't, you know, back out of the room. You get stuck. Alright, so here comes our second dungeon. Those clocks at the very after you killed everything, they're like, really? Now you want to give me immunity? Yeah. So here's level 2. So it's gonna be the same general concept. Here's my snakes. The trick to these snakes is to stay on the lines, because if it's not a perfect, like if you're staying on this square, they'll charge you. If you're on the line and it's not perfect in line with you, they don't come after you. So if you stay in like a corner of the of the grid, then they don't come charging you. And sometimes you can't do that, like this one. But as soon as they can get a clear shot at you, they come straight at you. And sometimes that's fine, because you want them to. Because it just makes it faster, but and sometimes you don't, like that. Alright, so we got 2 keys. This dungeon is one of the first, well, it is the first dungeon where there's actually a way to start kind of saving keys to where you don't use them until you need them, until, you know, where you get them, so you kind of have some extras when you first come into the dungeon. And how you do that is by using bombs, because there's a hole in the wall, or a hole that you can put in the wall. And so you would have had to have used a key to get here. But we didn't. And this whole row up along the left, you can and now we have a magic boomerang. The magic boomerang is the same as a regular boomerang, it just goes further. Because the other one was a short distance, and now this one goes all the way across the screen. And you can see we got 2 more rooms up this left side. And now here you don't actually have to. Oh, and I forgot. You can use the boomerang to kill bats and these little blob thingies. Dodongo dislikes smoke. That is a trick to killing these, they're called Dodongos, the rhino looking things, which you'll see shortly. Now, you could just go over on some of these, but I always want to fill in the map completely, so I'm going all the way back down to the bottom. And now we'll go back up on the inside lane of the rooms. And there is absolutely no reason to open those doors that were between us, between the left and the right, like this one right here. They don't do anything for you, so you might as well leave them. And you know, you'll notice there I killed that guy and it killed the rest of the room. On some rooms there's like a boss, but you can't tell which one. There's no way to know. But if you get lucky and you kill it, it kills the whole room. This thing is like a worm, even though it doesn't look like a worm. And then it did drop a key. You didn't see it there because I was standing right where it dropped. But alright, we are just about finished. Now this dungeon, you may have missed it if you weren't paying attention earlier, but you actually already picked up the treasure for this dungeon, which was the magical boomerang. In the first dungeon you get the boomerang and another treasure, but in this one you just get the magical boomerang. So, and then here, this is Dodongo. And in order to beat him, you have to have bombs. And you have two ways you can kill him. You can kill him by feeding him multiple bombs, or that trick was the smoke. So I blew up the second bomb while he was eating the first bomb, and it put smoke in his face, which causes him to be vulnerable. So that's the end of the second dungeon. So I think that's where we're gonna go ahead and chill for now. We may do one. Well, let's go back into the dungeon. There's no reason to go back into a dungeon once you've cleared it, by the way. Literally, you get nothing in there. But we're gonna go ahead and stop there. I may do one more on Original Zelda, on what happens when you get to the second quest, which is when you beat the whole game, then you get to do the game again, but it changes the entire map. So we may do one more series on that, or even just on Dungeon Level 9, which is a very complicated dungeon. It's a big old maze. It's nowhere near as bad in the first quest as it is in the second quest, but it is definitely a complicated maze. So we'll see how that plays out. We also do have a brand new Zelda game coming out, which I do plan to do a series on, but it'll be a separate series because it is definitely not retro. It is Echoes of Wisdom, and it'll be the first time where you actually play as Princess Zelda. Which will be interesting how that all turns out. She is going to actually be the heroine of the game, so I don't know exactly how that's all going to play out. I try in those cases not to read a lot of spoilers and stuff on it because I don't want to lose the awe of the game when I play it. So, but anyway, that's what we got for now. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.